It was a gloomy Tuesday morning, but Hotep lives in Washington, so it was actually a pretty average day. But anyway, it was a gloomy Tuesday morning. It was also leg day, so you can imagine Hotep was already in a bad mood. So in an effort to distract himself from the fact that his legs were now 80% lactic acid, he goes over to YouTube, and he is shocked by what he sees.
Hot take of the day, WALL-E is one of the most fatphobic movies I've ever seen.
Right, we're talking WALL-E today and the incredible fat phobia that is in the film.
I was so extremely appalled about how fatphobic this movie was.
It's not possible. These miserable people's goals to suck the fun out of absolutely everything has now extended to the greatest movie Pixar ever made. WALL-E. The movie has it all. A beautiful love story between two robots who couldn't be more different, an underdog hero you can't help but root for, and a cautionary tale warning humanity about the dangers of overconsumption of our natural resources. A fantastic piece of media bastardized and misrepresented in order for a bunch of overconsumers to produce more oppression points. I stood by when they used black people to push their agenda, but I will not stand for this. I can excuse racism, but I draw the line at WALL-E slander.
Hot take of the day, WALL-E is one of the most fatphobic movies I've ever seen. Because the movie's entire premise hinges on the fact that the worst thing to come out of capitalism is that it made us all fat.
First of all, I'm not sure how you could watch the movie and come to the conclusion that it's saying humans becoming fat is the worst thing to happen as a result of our actions. It's like you didn't even watch it. If you did, you'd know the worst thing to happen is, how about the fact that the Earth is no longer habitable. Secondly, when the humans are forced to leave Earth, they aren't all fat. Go back to the scene where they show the previous captains of the Axiom. As you can see, the first captain has a normal body type.
They make this out to be a dystopia. But all of these people are fed and clothed. They interact with their friends on a daily basis. There's no need for menial labor or exploitation. There isn't any implication that there's any kind of systemic inequality in this world either.
Girl, did you miss the part where they've lost a significant portion of their bone mass? Did you miss the part where they can't even walk anymore? Who gives a damn about all those luxuries? Walking is pretty important to me. I don't know about you.
And even though they explain that the reason why people have put on weight is because their bone density has lessened without gravity, they're still depicted as like gluttons who can't stop drinking big gulps. The only other reason the movie condemns capitalism is because it destroyed Earth. And frankly, I think that's enough. I think saying, Mega Walmart over here destroyed the planet and humans deserve a planet to call home is enough without adding on this we better save the planet so that we don't get fat bullshit. At the end of the day, I think this movie just relies on stereotypes about fatness as a metaphor for human greed as a whole. And in addition to being fatphobic, I find it very lazy.
The idea that if you live a sedentary lifestyle and engage in a bunch of overconsumption in the form of things such as sugary drinks will lead to you becoming fat is not merely a stereotype, it's the reality. That's how human bodies work. The human body is not some machine that you can just abuse long term without consequences.
Are you ever just having a nice day and you're going about and you're doing your errands and then you stop and you remember that Pixar made a whole ass movie about how much they hate fat people? Yeah, that happened.
Get off the internet. You've entered chronically online territory. But go on though, do tell me how this movie is about hating fat people though. Even though one of the main fucking heroes is fat, the literal savior of humanity in this film is fat. The man who got humanity back to Earth is fat. Alright, we're done with WALL-E. I'm about to have an aneurysm brought on by exogenous stupidity.
Show me, name one girl that looks good at 300 pounds. Name one.
What she said in the original video was rude. I'll give you that. But let's think critically for a second. I can think of several logical ways to deconstruct what she said, but you resorted to shaming her for her looks. I do think it's a bit odd that your entire movement is supposedly just so opposed to body shaming, but here we have you doing just that when someone says something you don't like. Interesting.
One thing about me is I had a bad night. Okay, I was wearing this shirt. Wait, let me go put it on. Okay, run it back. So last night I went into a restaurant for dinner and I walked on up to the guy at the front. I was like, hey, I have a table for two, but my friend was still crossing the street, so I was alone. Okay, yeah, 1 second. So I walk up to him and my friend got us a table because she works at the restaurant, right? That's the backstory. So I'm like, hey, I have a table for two, what is up? My name is Ella Halikis. Can we go inside? He goes, you can't come in here. I'm like, what? He's like, you can't wear that. You need to wear a shirt. Cover yourself up. I'm like, sir, this is a shirt. He's like, it is a bra. I said, I want a tussle. I bet you wouldn't do that if I was skinny.
Whew. That video was not good for my mental health. You'll be hearing from my therapist. As an African American, hip-hop is very important to me. It's what gets me up in the morning. It keeps me going in the gym. So when I heard this lady bastardizing an art form that I hold so dearly, I couldn't help but writhe in agony until the assault on my eardrum ceased. But more importantly, how exactly do you know he wouldn't have said the same thing to someone who isn't plus-sized? Did you see him let someone in with a similar attire?
How does dieting and weight loss affect your metabolism? We can learn a lot from the aftermath of The Biggest Loser. This is Danny Cahill, the season 8 winner from back in 2009. He lost 239 pounds in 7 months. By 2016, he regained over 100 pounds despite his best efforts. A researcher from the NIH, Kevin Hill, set out to study season 8 contestants over the course of 6 years, and what he found was really interesting. When the show began, the contestants had normal metabolic rates for their size. By the end of the show, their metabolic rates had, of course, slowed in response to the weight loss. In fact, they'd actually slowed to a point where they weren't actually burning enough calories to maintain their weight loss, so of course they began to regain the weight back.
This is objectively not true. Number one, not everyone in the study regained the weight, and on average, they still weighed less than they did before the intervention 6 years ago. Erin Egbert, a participant in the study, is just one example, and she's fucking shredded. I want to give you the benefit of the doubt, but I can't because this is literally in the abstract, like it's right there. Number two, you're talking like their measured total daily energy expenditure was so low that they just couldn't keep the weight off. Yeah, that's bullshit. The average measured total daily energy expenditure for the participants was around 3,400 calories, plus or minus 600 calories. This means there were participants with a total daily energy expenditure approaching 4,000 calories a day. I bulk on 3,400 calories a day, but some of these folks, according to this study, could actually lose weight eating what I eat to gain weight.
Once the show ended. Something interesting to know is that as they regained their weight, they didn't experience the requisite boost in their metabolic rate. And in addition to a slowed metabolic rate, especially proportional to their size, these contestants were experiencing endless hunger, cravings, and binges due to decreased leptin levels. Leptin is a hormone that's produced by your body's fat cells, and it communicates to your brain when you're satisfied. Lower leptin signaling or responsiveness equals more hunger. Apparently, the show's doctor was hopeful for a lower drop in metabolic rate, and he also admits that weight loss maintenance is hard, and that's why he recommends that contestants exercise for 80 minutes a day, every day, after the show. So if you've ever experienced weight gain after a diet, I want you to know that it is not your fault, and it is your body's biological response, especially if the lengths you're going to lose weight are not sustainable. And the more you understand how your body works, the more you can actually work with your body and not against it, like they did in the case of The Biggest Loser. Follow for sustainable and realistic nutrition and wellness tips and education from a non-diet dietitian.
This is the problem with reading secondhand sources as opposed to the actual research. According to the study, not only did the changes in metabolism observed not correlate with weight regain, but those with the biggest dips in metabolism were found to have regained the least amount of weight. But it gets even worse because it says this in the abstract. Does no one read the abstract? It's the first part of the paper, like it's literally right there. You don't have to dig for it. One more thing I'd like to bring your attention to is the formula the researchers used to tell just how damaged the participants' metabolism was. The study did not have a control group of similar size who had not lost weight to compare the participants' metabolism to. Instead, researchers used baseline data from the participants such as fat mass, fat-free mass, age, etc. in order to develop a linear regression model to develop an equation to get a predicted resting metabolic rate. And here's the formula. 1001 plus 21.2 multiplied by fat-free mass in kilograms plus 1.4 multiplied by fat mass in kilograms minus 7.1 multiplied by the age of the participant in years plus 276 multiplied by 0 if the participant was female and 1 if the participant was male. Here's the issue. Due to the lack of a control group, this formula can't be validated. Lucky for us, we have the research of Ostendorf and colleagues published in 2018. In this study, researchers predicted the RMR of a group of weight loss maintainers using 3 different models based on the RMRs of a normal weight control group, an obese control group, and a group consisting of both. They also used 3 established RMR predicting formulas and included the formula from The Biggest Loser. All the formulas produce numbers that are pretty close to the measured value except one. And that's the one from The Biggest Loser study. Based on what I have shown you, due to the lack of a control group, it is entirely possible that the formula from The Biggest Loser study is the only one with any real validity. But lucky for us, this study did use the formula on the 2 control groups, and here's the tea. The metabolic adaptation that we see using the formula from The Biggest Loser is also present in the obese and normal weight control groups that haven't lost weight. If they haven't lost significant weight, why would their metabolism be damaged? This suggests that the metabolic adaptation seen in The Biggest Loser study is an artifact of the formula used to predict their metabolism. So the video is captioned with "Stop taking our clothes," and this is in response to a man wearing comedically large pants. He didn't take shit from you. Before he bought it, it didn't belong to any plus-sized person or the plus-size community. It belonged to the store. There was no barrier preventing a fat person from buying those pants before him. He was just faster. That's how the cookie crumbles.
What's something you're sick of having to explain? That being anti-intentional weight loss does not mean being anti-health.
Yes. Yes, it does.
Anti-healthy eating, or anti-exercise. And when you hear somebody say that they are anti-intentional weight loss, if you assume that that means that they are anti-health...
Oh, they definitely are anti-health. Personally, I put you a level below faith healers because as far as I'm aware, fat acceptance has only killed adults.
Anti-healthy eating and or anti-exercise, then you are ignorant as fuck, and you have fat-phobic ideologies that you're holding inside of yourself. Work on that. Go to therapy.
I go to therapy. I also went to middle school, thus my critical thinking skills are past that of a 7th grader.
So sick of explaining this to people. Being anti-intentional weight loss does not mean that we are anti-health.
Oh, it definitely does.
Anti-healthy eating or anti-exercise.
Just because I advocate for drinking and driving doesn't mean I'm against vehicular safety.
Here's an actual conversation I had with my new primary care doctor the other day. All right, Mr. Hornby, if you would just step onto the scale, we'll grab a weight on you. Oh, sorry, I don't do that. What do you mean you don't do that? Oh, I don't get weighed at the doctor. Huh. Really? So tell me, what are you going to do when you go to the ER and they need to weigh you in order to give you medication? Sorry, is this the ER? No. And I was under the impression that this was just a checkup. Are you planning on prescribing me something today? No. See, I thought so. So, you don't need my weight. Fine, let's move on. And just in case you need to see it again for inspiration to do the same.
You know, me personally, I like my doctor to have all my information because they can make better decisions when they have more data. My doctors know absolutely fucking everything, including my weight. So when I see videos like this, I'm just astonished that these people expect care on the same level as me when their doctors are operating with less data. Incomprehensible. 9 times out of 10, I'm going to receive the superior care because my doctor has the benefit of more data over a longer period and can establish trends. With that said, take care of yourselves. Watch Wall-E. It's a really good movie. Drink water and don't skip leg day. See you in the next video. Animated movie.